Anna, welcome to my channel. This is my camper. I lived in my camper full-time for my second and third year of vet school, and I live in it part-time now as a fourth year veterinary student. I post a lot about travel in my camper and on our bikes. I post a lot about good food and healthy living and eco-friendly living. So if you like the sound of that, go ahead and subscribe to my channel below. So this month I decided to do a 30-day challenge where I go raw vegan. That means no bread, no bagels, no rice, no grains, nothing cooked. It's been pretty challenging so far, but I will say that I've noticed a few benefits. Number one, I've lost a little bit of weight, which wasn't a goal of mine going into this, but I always gain a few pounds in the winter and then lose them in the spring. So I definitely lost some weight just because I was consuming a bunch of whole foods and not cooking a lot and not eating a lot of grains. Number two, I feel really good, like I have more energy and I don't feel like super full after I eat. Yeah, I feel really good. Number three is I also, obviously on a raw diet, have to exclusively eat whole foods, and eating more whole foods on my plant-based diet already was a really big goal of mine, and so going raw kind of forced me to do that. So it's a really good way to have a better diet and eat more whole foods. Number four is probably Danny's least favorite benefit, but it does save me a lot of time because I don't do any cooking. And Danny's really upset because he loves cooking with me. So he said this is his least favorite 30-day challenge. But I miss the cooking, but I don't miss the cleaning. After cooking a big meal and having to clean up the kitchen, don't miss that. I didn't realize how much time of my life I spent cooking and cleaning until I did this challenge. So going raw makes things a little easier in that respect, but it is a little bit more difficult in other respects. The biggest disadvantage I've noticed so far is I have to go to the grocery store like every 3 days because I always have to have fresh produce. I mean, eating fresh greens and fresh fruits and vegetables are like 90% of my diet, so it's difficult in that respect. My grocery bill is still really low, mostly because I'm still staying 99% zero waste like I did last month, and just buying whole foods is inevitably cheaper than buying things that have been processed or paying other people to, you know, cook your food for you. So it sucks going to the grocery store so often, but I do save money still and I feel great. So highly recommend trying this if you're thinking about it. Anyways, without further ado, here is what I eat in a day as a raw vegan. I always wake up really early and start my day off with a green smoothie. I don't count this as breakfast necessarily, but it is a great way to start my day and get a ton of greens in. Here I'm using kale and spinach, and I always try to eat at least 2 types of greens and make sure that I switch it up every few days to get variety. Next I add some fruit. I usually use a pineapple, but all the pineapple at the grocery store was sold out, so I'm using half a banana, half an apple, and some frozen mango. Then I add a liquid, which most of the time is water, but here I'm using some peach juice. This has a bunch of sugar, so I only use a little bit, but it is delicious. Another option would be a nut milk for a creamier smoothie. Then I always add protein. I use a bunch of different vegan protein powders, but most of the time I just end up adding hemp hearts or chia seeds. Now for my real breakfast, which I usually have around 9:30 or 10 a.m. Here I'm making a raw blueberry cobbler from Kate Flowers' ebook. It's not a cookbook because you don't cook anything, or it's like an entirely raw book. I add cashews, walnuts, and Brazil nuts to a food processor along with a little bit of monk fruit sweetener. This stuff is pretty awesome, although it's mostly just erythritol. It tastes like brown sugar and it's 0 calorie and 0 net carb. And then you pulse it until it's a cobbler-like consistency. It's important not to over pulse here or you will end up with a gritty nut powder. I then chop up a ripe banana and defrost some frozen blueberries, or use fresh ones if you have them. And go ahead and top the cobbler mix with the bananas and the blueberries. And then I always add in some hemp seeds for protein and some coconut flakes for protein and texture. And then I also top it with some nut milk. Here I'm using my homemade almond milk. You can use hazelnut milk, oat milk, whatever you want. And just use a little bit, it just makes it all a little bit creamy and very sweet and tasty. For lunch here, I'm going to make a summer salad. This is also really quick and easy. I start by chopping up some strawberries and some apples, or whatever fruit you have around the house. And then here I'm using baby broccoli, which is absolutely delicious. It's not like dry and tough like regular broccoli is. It's really tender and it still has a few little flowers on it, and it's really just delicious. The texture is amazing. I highly recommend baby broccoli. It's becoming a staple for me. I'm buying it every time I go to the grocery store now. So once you finish dicing up your baby broccoli and your fruit, you can add fresh greens. I get these greens from a local farm right down the street. Like, I can ride my bike there and they give it to me with no plastic. I just bring my little grocery bag and they fill it up and weigh it and charge me, and it is amazing. So then once you have all your greens in your bowl, you just top it with the fruit and the broccoli, and then I always add in a little bit of craisins, some hemp hearts, and some walnuts for some extra protein and crunch. And then you can top it with whatever kind of sweet vinaigrette you like. Here I'm using a raspberry vinaigrette. A lot of the times I'll make my own and blend up like a ripe mango and some strawberries and add a little bit of apple cider vinegar, and it's really, really delicious. This salad took me less than 5 minutes to put together, so highly recommend it. This is really, really good. Like, seriously good. Tastes like summertime. Throughout the day, I snacked on a grapefruit and some celery with peanut butter, homemade peanut butter, and I forgot to film that, but I just wanted to say that I snack all the time on this raw food vegan diet, and it's okay to snack. I don't limit myself to a few meals every day. For dinner, I made a fettuccine alfredo made of raw kelp noodles. This is another recipe that I modified a lot from Kate Flowers' recipe book, and I am now obsessed with kelp noodles. They're so good for you. They're full of iodine and iron and just a ton of minerals. And they are so easy. You don't have to cook them. When they come in the plastic packaging, they do come in plastic packaging, which was really difficult for me, but I couldn't find them in anything else, and I really wanted pasta. So I bit the bullet and did it, and I don't think I'll buy them for a long time. But when you get them out, they're kind of hard, and then all you do is first you take some baking soda and the juice of half a lemon and combine them in a bowl, and then put the kelp noodles in there, and then mix them around, and they will soften almost immediately, and they soften to like a perfect al dente pasta feel. It's delicious. And so then you can just go ahead and rinse them in the sink and drain them really well and set them aside. And then you can start making your Alfredo sauce. Usually the recipe calls for cashew butter. I'm out of cashew butter right now, so I'm using Vegenaise, which is still raw, but not as full of protein and not a Whole Foods choice. So it's not my first choice, but it's still really good. So that's an option. I'm using Vegenaise. So you combine some Vegenaise, nutritional yeast, coconut aminos or liquid aminos, garlic powder, onion powder, apple cider vinegar, about a tablespoon of water, and some salt. And you mix it well, and mine is a little bit waterier than I really like, but it still tasted delicious, and you can adjust however you want. So then I grab some of my fresh local greens and put them into the bowl, top them with the kelp noodles, and then pour on my Alfredo sauce. And then I usually like to top it with another vegetable like tomatoes, and I'm out of tomatoes right now, but I have some mushrooms, and raw mushrooms taste great in this. Then I also top it with some hemp hearts for protein. As you can tell, I'm obsessed with hemp hearts. And enjoy! Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and comment below and tell me that, and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you in my next video.